Hello, welcome to Laid Back with Betfair. I'm Tom Haylock. We've got a special Royal Ascot preview show. It's only a week or so away. I can't wait for it. And what better man to join me? Rory Flanagan. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Thanks for having me on again.
Doing some great work on the Betfair Hub as usual. Great to have you here. You're looking forward to the few days, 5 days?
Yeah, I'll be jumping on the plane on the Sunday and getting over there on track myself.
That only took you 30 seconds to mention, so well done. That's good. You're pumped?
Yeah. Keen to get back over there. Haven't been since COVID, so looking forward to it. It's good to have some Australian representation to stick up the Poms.
Well, starts June 20, Tuesday night, 5 days, 8 Group 1s. We've, as you mentioned, a couple of Australians. Preble's riding over there, J-Max riding over there. Horse flesh, you've got Coolangatta potentially. After the trial, there was a bit of touch and go whether she'd make it over there. Cannibal, Artorias, and the Astrologist. I look forward to dissecting all of those. What are your early thoughts on the 5 days, the carnival in itself, the Australian contingent, all of that?
Oh, it's good. It's good to have horses travel over again after what Nature Strip did last year, obviously. And I think if you've got good horses that are dominant in the sprint races, we should show them off to the world. One day I'd like to see them obviously take on the Breeders' Cup type thing, but with our prize money in the spring, it's probably not gonna happen. But the 5 days of Royal Ascot, you've obviously got to pace yourself. You got to keep.
Are you going to pace yourself over there, mate?
Always, mate. Always. You got to keep a bit in the tank each night, and just pick your battles. You don't have to punt on every single race. Choose the ones where you think are the best value, and you can target where you think you've got an edge. And hopefully, we'll try and help you find an edge.
Love that, beauty. So, what are your tips for betting into? You mentioned pacing yourself and not betting into every race, and ties in with gambling responsibly, picking and choosing which races you can to bet into. But in terms of the track patterns and other insights you can offer?
Yeah, there's usually, because it's such a big track and there's quite often such big fields, usually, they split off into groups and there's usually going to be a faster side. So trying to identify pretty quickly where the best ground is and which horses are advantaged by the draw. You've got to remember that the Ascot track goes like this with an uphill finish.
Yep.
So finding horses that have a lot of stamina in their legs at the end of the race. So a 6 furlong horse, a 1,200 metre horse that can run 1,400 is what you're looking for, or a 1,000 metre horse that can run 1,200, like Nature Strip last year. So that's the sort of horse profile that I'm looking for, and maybe horses that are looking for a nice firm dry deck, because this time of year it's usually sunny weather.
Is it always a dry deck? We've seen in recent years it's deteriorated. There's been a few showers around earlier in the week.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I actually had a good collect on the Will the Race Meet Go Ahead a couple of years ago when there was a downpour after they actually watered the track the day before, believe it or not. So I think it's reached to a point now where the policy is, let's have good grounds like we have in Australia. Let's not let it get too dry, but water it so it's fair, safe ground. They don't have all the soft track horses just pulling out left, right and centre.
So the fields aren't out yet, but we have a rough idea or a fair idea of a lot of the feature races. We've got 8 Group 1s. We'll go through all of them. There's 3 Group 1s on day one, starting with the Queen Anne. First race on the card, 4-year-old and over, weight for age, 1,600 metres down the straight. It's always a brilliant race. We saw Frankel won this in 2012 by a whopping 11 lengths, if you don't mind. Palace Pier won the race in 2021, Baid last year. What are you thinking? We've got Modern Games and Inspiral, who won this day last year as well, heading the market. Which way are you heading?
I think if it's a proper dry deck and they haven't overwatered it and there's no rain about, nothing should really get near Modern Games. He punished the field in the Lockinge last time out, and that was probably a little bit soggy for his liking. He's bolted in at the Breeders' Cup. Basically, any time there's been good in the ground description, he's won. So I think he's a rock solid bet to kick off the carnival. The one value angle in the race, I think, is Maljoum. He should have bolted in the St James Palace on the same day last year. He's been out for a little while. I think he's a big price now, but he should start closer to $4 or $5. So if you want to trade him at $9 and chop out at $4 or $5, that's probably a good way to play that race.
There you go, early trading strategy. Maljoum, third favourite at the moment. Inspiral, who won this day last year, query down the straight. Are you laying Inspiral currently? Well, does it drift?
She hasn't been seen, so you don't know how well she's going at this point in time. She can fire fresh, but just with Gosden mares, when they're a bit older, I'm not as keen on them as when they're supremely dominant in the 3-year-old division. So I think you might want to watch a market lead for her. They might even give her a softer option later in the week and target a weaker race.
Well, there you go, potentially in the Antepost markets. Modern Games, $3.05, potentially better than that. At the moment, Maljoom, $9. In Spiral, interesting to see what the market does, but you could probably lay her. Let's move to the King Stand. This is a race that we, as Australians, are fascinated by. It's a race that we've got a great record in. Scenic Blast, 2009. Miss Andretti, 2007. Takeover Target, 2006. And Schwarzera in 2003. And obviously, Nature Strip or should I say Nature Stripe, put the field to bed. Last year, it was one of the most dominant sprinting displays we've ever seen. It was an unbelievable win by Nature Strip. Great to see him do it. It further proves that our sprinters are the best in the world.
Absolutely.
Our stayers leave a little bit to be desired against the world, but our sprinters always stack up. We've got Coolangatta and Cannonball this year. Now, Rory, Coolangatta and Cannonball last Monday morning had a jump out down the Flemington Straight.
Yes.
To the eye. They were both pretty average, particularly Coolangatta, who's a jump and run filly. She's got plenty of speed. Where are they at? I know the times potentially were better than the appearance of the trial, but where are those two at? Is there any danger that they don't go?
Yeah, initially, Kira Marr sounded pretty downbeat, pretty flat that she wasn't going to go because of how the trial went. But when they went back and analysed the data, it was about a second faster than last year's, basically practice gallop ahead of Royal Ascot. So I think as far as they're concerned, Connections are still happy to go all the way over and give it a crack. And she's got Nature Strip form. She beat Nature Strip. Granted, he's not the same wasn't the same horse,
Yes.
but that's the right type of form. She wants fast, dry ground. It's probably what she's going to get. I just wonder if the uphill finish, she wouldn't have ever seen anything like it. That might be the biggest challenge for her. But in terms of just speed factor, she's probably the one to beat.
You have any concern over the appearance of the trial we saw down the Flemington Straight, or are you just backing in the camp?
Well, if the stable's happy, they know how to get a horse to win a grand final. They're probably the best in the business in this country at the moment. The one horse for the home team is called Highfield Princess. She was going so well last year that Connections even picked out the Everest for her to tackle.
Maybe they do it this year now. The prize money increased
to tackle this year.
to
So
642 million.
So if she runs well, she'll have a yardstick to know where she stands in terms of Australian sprinting. So if Highfield Princess wins, I'd say they'd be booking a ticket on the plane to Sydney.
That's interesting. Maybe one for futures there. So Highfield Princess, $4.20, Coolangatta $5.80, Dramatised $6.40, Cannonball. What do you make of Cannonball? $11.50, fourth line of betting.
Really good piece of work considering he hates a soft track.
It comes off a Group 1 placing.
Yeah. Will love dry ground. He should just jump, run. And if he's drawn on a fast lane on the day, he could be the value of the race. Plenty of second string type Aussies have gone over in the past when they weren't the favoured Australian sprinter and come home with the chocolates.
Yes.
So there's no reason why he can't. There's one horse that's still umming and ahhing about whether or not she accepts in the Commonwealth Cup in the 3-year-old sprint over 1200 or the King's Stand, and that's called Love Reigns. And if you go back and watch a replay of the last start, it's probably one of the best wins in American sprinting in the last 3 or 4 years.
There you go. Very interesting. Is there a chance that the UK come over or start doing the form on this race closer to the date when the field comes out and see Nature Strip form line through Coolangatta and just have a bet on her?
Yeah, when they start showing the replays of her beating Nature Strip and dropping him like a murder weapon, I think they'll pile in. And based on the market moves late last year, Nature Strip went in the final 30 seconds before the jump when they were loading the barriers. He shortened from 3.7 to 3.3. He just went bang, 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 bang.
Highly liquid markets too, so that took a lot of money.
Always watch late.
There you go. So I'm judging by what you're saying. I'm taking the $5.80 Coolangatta now with the potential to lay off a bit later.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. The last Group 1 on the first day, Tuesday night, Australian time, is the St James Palace. Palace Pier won this race in 2020 before winning the Queen Anne in 2021. What do you make of this race?
Yeah, this is interesting. I checked it about maybe 48 hours ago. Cicero's gift was $10 or $11. And for some reason, he's just been absolutely backed off the map. I don't know why, because I think he's a pure soft ground horse, and I thought he was being bought by Hong Kong. So whatever's happened there, they've obviously decided to change tack and target this race. But he's got a lot on his plate to beat the two favourites. Chaldean, the favourite, won the 2,000 guineas, but I think he had the run of the race that day. Most of the horses that finished in the placings were drawn on his side. But Paddington was extremely good in the Irish 2,000 guineas, and Aidan O'Brien, you can't really go past the form he's in at the moment. I think that horse will continue to improve, and Paddington should start favourite. He should be the one to beat. As far as value goes in the race, there's a horse called Al Riffa that hasn't been seen yet. Joseph O'Brien trains it. He knows how to he's got a great strike rate with first up horses overseas. And I think if that horse is fit and firing, he will be the big shortener in the market if they accept for the race.
Our roof at $23. Paddington, the other recommendation there from Rory at about that $4 mark, betfair.com.au in the Antepost markets. Let's head to day two. And the Group 1 there, 2,000 metres, weight for age, 4-year-old plus, is the Prince of Wales. A little bit of Australian touch here with State of Rest winning in 2022, obviously winning the Cox Plate. So really interesting race, and you reckon it's going to be a ripper this year with a lot of Group 1 winners?
Absolutely, absolutely. We've got the Derby winner from 2 years ago. We've got a long-time Derby favourite. We've got the horse that knocked off Baid. We've got the Derby winner from last year as well, and potentially a bunch of quality horses that have won Group 1s in France, as well as light infantry that people would know from the Golden Eagle, and Luxembourg, who won the Tattersalls Gold Cup last start, beating Verdeni, who ran second in an arc. So you can't complain about that being the feature on the day. It's like elite form lines all over the shop, and I'm waiting for some kind of lead on what to back, but just at the prices, with my Prospero crying out for a step up in trip, with the way he hit the line behind Modern Games in the Lockhinge, I think he's the value at the moment, and he's a type of horse that gets back late because he always parades quite well and he gets a strong push from the yard. So I think he's a good trade option.
My Prospero, $8 currently. Luxembourg favourite there at $4.70. The Ascot Gold Cup, day 3 is the Group 1, 1,400 metres. Stradivarius run this race in 2018, 19 and 2020. Absolute star Stradivarius was. Yeah, where would he rank in your favourite top horses? You love him, don't you?
Close to the top. I mean, he should have won the race 5 times in a row, but
4,000 metres. Did I say 1,400?
Yeah, 4,000. Yeah. He should have won the race 5 times in a row. He just got some pilot error the last 2 years, and that might be why Frankie's retiring now.
Oh, jeez.
He's in form. No, he's in form, Frankie. He's in form. Stradivarius was an all-time great. If he had won 5, I think they would have renamed the race after him probably. But
jeez, what do you have to do? He won 3. So Coltrane, $4 at the moment. Elderov, $4.50. About that $4.50 to $5. Emily Dickinson, $8.80. Haskoy, $12. Subjectivist, $13.50. Broome, a horse we know quite well, $14. Seems like Broome's been running for a very long time. What do you make of the race?
Yeah, I think if they accept, Haskoy has to be the value by a country mile.
Are they going to accept?
That's all systems go as long as the track comes up dry, is what I've been told. She ran a good race in the St Leger, and then she was like just almost plodding along first up this prep, and she looked like she was going to get beaten a mile. Traded out quite high in the run, and then just clicked and just savaged the line to win. So she looks like she's crying out for a step up in trip, and if they go slow, she's got a good turn of foot, and she switches off really well in her races. So that's the type of horse you want for a Gold Cup, and $12 or so, she's got a lot more upside and market value than the others in the race. I do think Coltrane is definitely the one to beat with the way he won at Ascot previously. So
there you go. It's a good summary of the Ascot Gold Cup. A couple to harp in on there. Day 4, 2 Group 1s, the Coronation Stakes and the Commonwealth Cup, 1,200 metres, Commonwealth Cup down the straight for the 3-year-olds. Let's start there. Little Big Bear looks likely to go into the race's favourite, currently favourite at the moment with a week and a half out. Sakir, $5.67, second favourite. Yeah, what are you steering the punters into here?
Yeah, so this is an interesting race because the Commonwealth Cup is usually won by, it's like our version of the Coolmore, but it's usually won by a horse that's thought of as a Guineas type, then they step back in trip and then they end up winning this race. So I think 4 years ago it was won by Advertise, stepping down from the Guineas, won it. A couple of years ago, Campanelle stepped down from a mile, won it. Last year, Perfect Power stepped back from a mile, won it.
Is that due to the nature of the 1,200 metre straight track with the uphill?
Quite a lot of that is a lot to do with it, and it's just a lot of stables are overestimating their horses' ability to get the mile and make a Guineas winning stallion out of them. So they set the lofty bar too high, and then they come back down to earth and target the sprints. But Little Big Bear's already stepped down from flop in the Guineas, had a run at Haydock and absolutely bolted in, but it was an extremely biased track that day, so he's probably rock bottom odds. And I think you could probably set yourself up to lay at that price, get a bit of value elsewhere, and then on the day, if he drifts and he's drawn on the wrong side, you can always chop out or back him, because I don't think he's going to shorten that much more in price.
So you go $3.05, you can put up a lay and put up a price there. $3.15 to lay currently, so not a bad little play in the Commonwealth Cup.
I think the one that could shock is Lazoo. She's a daughter of Zoostar, who won Group 1 towards the back end of last season. Looks like she's an out-and-out sprinter, and I think Frankie's going to be booked on her, and I think she's a really good value bet at about $14, $15.
Just on that, you mentioned jockeys, Preble and J-Mac. Who are they over there to ride predominantly? Just Australians, or other rides?
Preble's only been booked on Cannonball at this stage, I think.
Yes.
But J-Mac's got a lot of partnerships with people he's ridden on previous excursions
Obviously
before.
Close with Coolmore if they've got some runners.
He's close with Coolmore. He's also close with Juddmont as well.
Yes.
So they used him as a second string jockey a few times.
Second stringer, J-Mac. Cop that.
And I think he might be a first stringer this time around. And Charlie Hills. So Charlie Hills, is when he's got some good horses in big handicaps, he loves to book J-Mac. So I'd keep an eye on whatever J-Mac picks up to ride in one of the big 30 horse handicaps.
There you go. Let's go to the Coronation Stakes, the second of the Group 1s on Day 4. Inspire run this race, speaking to Tory, in 2022. Mile race around the bend, alcohol free, won it as well, Oyson Murphy. Anything you like here? I don't know if you're going to pronounce the favourite here. You can do that.
Tahira. So this is a really good rivalry type race, because Tahira and Morge both faced off in the English 2000 Guineas, and Morge just had too much in the tank and outbattled her. But Tahira showed up that day like a pre-season Resi's footballer with the biggest gut you've ever seen. And then she made up for it next time in the Irish 1000 Guineas when she absolutely bolted in. So those two are miles clear on ratings and ability, and it should just be out of those two. But I do think that Queen for You is going to shorten quite a long way in price, and she'll start the third elect. She might jump $7 or $8, and I think at $12.50 at the moment you can get. She's another tradable option. If Frankie is winning left, right, and centre on the day, people might just pile into her, and she might shorten quite substantially as well. And you can always trade out there, but it'd be tough to get anywhere near that exacta with those two.
Which of the two are you leaning to, if you had to?
Just on race pattern, Morge can land on speed, and she can make a much longer, more sustained run, whereas Tahira's more cuddle up, explode. So if it becomes a real serious test of stamina, you'd favour Morge.
Yep.
And unless Dermot Weld, sends in Tarawa as a pacemaker to try and disrupt a bit, like Dermot Burton running through a quarter-time team top.
Day 5 is the Jubilee Stakes, 1,200 metres. Shrazier won this in 2003. Star Spangled Banner, 2010, obviously famously won by Plaque Caviar, 2013. Merchant Navy, 2018. Blue Point, the brilliant sprinter, won in 2019. Obviously, I just mentioned four Australians. They got a really good record in the race, and they head the market surprisingly a little bit. Artorias as favourite, very open market on Betfair.com.au at the moment.
Yeah, a lot of the horses that Artorias took on last year are either retired or been injured and aren't taking their place this year. So the obviously logical step is just price him up as favourite. Highfield Princess ran a cracker in this last year, but they're leaning more towards the King's Stand. So
do they back up?
She would have to win the King's Stand for them to back up, and yep. I think trainer gave an interview recently and she sort of drifted out from about $6 and doubled in price out to 12. So I think they're leaning towards not going there. The second favourite in the race, Sacred, likes running around on a bend and on synthetic tracks because she doesn't have a long sustained sprint. So a track like Ascot's going to suck the life out of her. You've got Rohan who wants a soft track. You've got Kinross who wants a soft track. You've got Art Power who only wants to run in Ireland. I think the value option
just ruled
here.
Out the next 6 in the market.
Yeah, the
so
value.
Does Artorias just win?
The
Or?
value option here has to be Al Sahale.
Yes. Okay.
He's a dead set 1400 metre specialist. The Royal Ascot 1200 is more like a 1400. He traded at 1.1 in the Alquoz sprint in Dubai when he was drawn a barrier that's never won that race. And that side of the track has only ever won the race once in its existence. So it was an unwinnable gate, and he still managed to get to as low as 1.1 in the run with how well he travelled in the race. He's got to be Charlie Appleby's top seed in terms of sprinters. He's got residual fitness on his side from Dubai, and he'll enjoy a nice dry track. And I think he should be the one to beat. And I just can't believe that he's out near $20 at the moment.
Al Sahale. There you go. There's one for you in the Jubilee Stakes. Reminds me of the 12th man. Hale the great man. Great. Well, you've summarised that beautifully. We're going to speak to you on radio in the coming days as well. We'll do another layback of Betfair segment potentially as well, getting your thoughts. And you're going to be over there, so we might even tap into that and get you on the phone or get you on some videos. So just stay tuned to that once we know the fields and everything. I'm looking forward to your segment on radio on Sunday prior as well, mates. But time for your best bets and best lays and some trading strategies.
Yeah, I think if Hookham takes his place in the Hardwick Stakes, I think he's close to the best bet of the week. They will be slightly concerned about the ground being too dry, but I imagine they'll want the full brother of Baid as a star attraction. I imagine they'll water the ground enough to make sure he takes his place.
What are you saying, mate?
He absolutely.
They wouldn't do that, would they?
He rinsed the unbeaten Derby winner Desert Crown at Sandown the other night, so he's got to be rock solid chance of winning. And I think American Rascal, who's the daughter of Lady Aurelia, who bolted in at Royal Ascot on multiple occasions. Son of Lady Aurelia. Wherever they accept, which I think will be the Norfolk, I think he's a rock solid bet. And I think just one that you can bet with confidence. Just know that you're getting a run for your money as the best horse in the race. I think Modern Games on day one in the first race is a good way to kick your bank off. Beautiful.
Fantastic. Any lays, any strategies? You mentioned quite a few that we can back now and potentially lay off.
Yep. I think Inspiral is favourite for the Duke of Cambridge. And if they accept for the Queen Anne, she won't even run in the Duke of Cambridge. So you'll collect a lay if she doesn't accept there. And I think there's a horse called Asadna in the Coventry, who has probably recorded one of the most inflated, ridiculous 2-year-old figures ever. They rate it as one of the best 2-year-old performances in the last 20 years. And it's just not that good, simple as that. Shouldn't be favourite. It'll drift remarkably. I'd be surprised if it starts... if it doesn't start double that price. So I think
what
lay
race is it again?
In the Coventry.
Yep.
I think lay that and build a book around that getting beat. And yeah, those are my best backs and lays.
Lovely. Thank you for joining me. It's been a good show. Hopefully you got something out of it. I'm just going to head over to Betfair now and place a few bets and trades and see how we go. Thanks for joining me, Rory. Thank you for watching Layback with Betfair. Stay tuned. Rory's got plenty more. He'll be typing and providing plenty of content on the Betfair Hub as well. Hopefully you will be listening throughout the Royal Ascot Carnival and listen to Layback with Betfair weekly.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.